welcome back to the program. I am once again your host, Joe. This week we watched 1985's Kiss of the Spider-Woman. It's on the list because I needed something from South America. This is a Brazilian film. It's directed by Hector Babenco, who, while Argentinian, spent most of his life in Brazil. It's not the only Brazilian film on the list, but this is the one that I chose specifically because it is Brazilian. I was going over the list of films from South America that they had, and I just saw the names Raul Julia and William Hurt, and I said, this is something I need to put on the list. And I'm glad I did. It's got a 7.3 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database, which is about right for an award magnet like this. It's 2 hours long, but you'd never realize it because it's just so enrapturing that it's over before you even know that it's over. Like, it ends and you're like, wait, that was it? The same sort of thing happened with Seven Samurai. You get caught up in the film, and you just lose track of time. It's based on a book of the same name. It's set in Brazil during the military dictatorship that ran for 21 years. It's about two prisoners who share a cell, Molina and Valentin. Raul Julia plays Valentin. He's a man who's been arrested and locked up because of his involvement with a revolutionary cell. They haven't formally pressed charges. He's a political prisoner. He's unofficially detained so that the state can try to get information out of him. As such, they have been torturing him, and they are poisoning his food. William Hurt plays Molina, a gay man who was arrested for corrupting a youth and has been placed in a large cell apart from the other prisoners, but one which has more walls. Every other cell in this prison has, the fairly standard, here's the door with the grate and the bars and everything. You can see right in. This cell, that's all blocked off. This is clearly the cell where they put people that aren't meant to be seen. I actually spoke with a Brazilian friend about this film. They hadn't seen it, but knowing that it was filmed in the 80s in Brazil, they just matter-of-factly said to me, oh, so it's probably very homophobic. And admittedly, it does depict homophobia. It definitely treats Molina's character with a sort of respect that I felt was kind of uncharacteristic of the average 80s film. Yes, he is called the slurs you would expect, but they always feel like the actions of a villain or something said in anger and are apologized for afterwards. None of it is ever justified. Like, I've seen films from the 80s that just had the homophobia just as something that happened, just a brute fact of life. Whereas this, when it happens, it's heavy, it's intentional. The film also features Sonia Braga as basically every woman in the film, and Milton Goncalves as the nameless agent of the secret police who's working with the warden in order to uncover Valentin's compatriots. Of the leads of the film, only Sonia Braga is still alive, and actually she's still active. She appeared just last year in The First Omen. William Hurt passed a few years back from prostate cancer, and Raul Julia tragically passed in his early 50s back in 1994 from complications of stomach cancer. He had food poisoning that triggered something, and he wound up going into a coma and just never waking up. Serious loss. The man was fantastic, and he brings so much to this film. And the vast majority of this film just follows the two of them in isolation in the prison, behind a wall apart from even all the other prisoners. Valentin is suffering from chronic stomach pains, which he suspects is a result of the warden poisoning him. He is correct to suspect this. And Molina basically spends his days trying to tell him stories about movies that he watched. He's relaying the events of a film featuring a beautiful woman who falls for a handsome man, and has a torrid relationship with the local revolutionaries. And he describes a scene where German soldiers in Paris bust a smuggling operation in some men who he describes as not looking like your typical Frenchmen with berets. Valentin stops him for a moment and asks, what do you mean by they don't look like Frenchmen? Molina just says, well, they were wearing funny hats, kind of like Turkish fezzes. And Valentin very quickly points out that he's recounting Nazi propaganda to him from the war, and that those men were wearing yarmulkes. Molina just states he doesn't care. That's just the film's background. What matters is the romance. He goes on to talk about how the lead woman in the films, played by Sonia Braga, is working with the resistance, but she falls for one of the Nazis and becomes sort of conflicted. Because obviously now she's in love with him, She doesn't want to betray him, but also she is in with the resistance. The film is somewhat metaphorical for the situation in the cell. Melina has sort of cast himself as the woman in the film, whereas Valentin has cast a woman he knows from outside in that role, mentally. That's what we're seeing in these little vignettes, is Valentin's mental imagining of the actual film. But yes, Melina has cast himself as the woman in the film. He's here with the resistance in this cell. He is tempted by the fascist state. He doesn't concern himself with the background. He's politically detached. It's not until halfway through the film that we actually find out just how in with the fascist state he is, as it's revealed he's working for the warden to try to befriend Valentin to get information out of him. It's kind of like a good cop, bad cop routine, but it's more like secret cop, poison cop. And to tie it all together, after we find out about Melina's relationship with the warden, he finishes the story about that particular film. The woman literally stabs the resistance leader in the back and dies for her betrayal. Is that foreshadowing? It just might be. The growing friendship between Melina and Valentin is not completely smooth. It's not a bumpless road. They do quarrel. Usually stems from Valentin's strong political leanings and Melina's active disregard for the reality of his political vulnerability as a gay man. I mean, he is in prison during the fascist regime basically for being gay. Valentin can't believe that he would overlook the obvious facts around the Nazi propaganda film that he's so fond of. And this really sets him off when one of the other political prisoners in the prison, just dies from a severe beating he gets. This sets off Valentin. He's yelling that the guards are fascist murderers, and one of the guards comes over and, pisses on his door. And Melina is like, here, I'll clean that up, and Valentin is just like, you're just as bad. What are you over here telling me about this Nazi movie? While this is happening, my brothers are dying. He throws him to the floor, and he's just in his face, and he says, don't you know what the Nazis did to Jews, to Catholics, to homosexuals? And at that point, Melina just drops the guys, and he says, yes, of course I know. I'm not stupid, but why should I think about that while I'm in a shithole like this? It's just going to depress me more. And so that right there is Melina's character all wrapped up. He is actively disregarding the situation of reality, specifically so that he can try to make his day feel a little bit better. That's a coping mechanism, whereas Valentin's coping mechanism is just to get angry about it. There's a second story that Melina winds up telling after the warden has arranged his parole. See, he had this theory that he might be able to get more information out of Valentin if Valentin thought that he was leaving. Oftentimes a prisoner will tell somebody a final secret on their way out or something. And so he thought if he thought that he was getting parole, that he might confide in him with something that he wouldn't have otherwise, because the warden could potentially torture him or something in the prison. The second story that Melina tells him is about a beautiful woman on a tropical island. She's trapped in a spider web, a giant spider web, that is growing out of her own body. And then a shipwrecked sailor washes up on her beach, and she nurses him back to health and looks after him. And when he comes to, he looks up and he sees her face, and a single perfect tear falls from her mask. And Valentin wants to know why she's crying. But Melina doesn't want to say. He doesn't want to admit that he's describing himself again, nursing Valentin back to health after the warden had poisoned him, shielding him from more torture, and crying because he knows that they're going to be separated soon. The Spider-Woman is trapped in a web of her own creation, just as Melina is trapped in a web of his own lies. He's crying because he doesn't want to leave Valentin. He's fallen for him. He doesn't want to admit that to him. But the two of them are so close now that they do end up spending the last night in prison together, in the same bed, and he even gets a kiss goodbye. Melina's parole actually does come through. It wasn't just like a hollow nothing from the warden. It actually happened. He gets out, and unfortunately everything he was afraid of came true. His old life with his queer friends was now hollow to him. He was being trailed by the secret police everywhere. He decides he's going to do Valentin one final favor, and he tries to deliver the message that he asked him to deliver in prison. He goes to a payphone, he follows the instructions, he calls them 3 times, hanging up the first 2 times as they pick up, and then staying on for the third one to try to deliver the message. They say, we'll meet you in a public place. So they go to meet in a public place, and Melina ends up getting shot because again, he's being watched by the secret police, so they know to ambush them there. So he dies on the outside. The police dump his body in like a garbage dump. Meanwhile, back in prison with no alternative, the warden has gone back to torturing Valentin. And so he's in the infirmary, he's severely beaten up, and the doctor's just like, you need to sleep, we're giving you morphine. And it sure does feel like he might just have succumbed to his wounds, because as he drifts off to sleep, mentally he goes off to the island again. He dreams of the Spider-Woman one last time as the morphine takes him. Is he finally reunited with the woman that he knew on the outside, that he's been mentally inserting into all of these stories that Melina's been telling him? Or is this meant to be read as a reunion with Melina, who's told stories that so clearly reflected their own situation?
Why do you always need explanations?
It's a tragic ending in a brutal setting, and a reminder that not all romances end in a happy place. The world is cruel, especially in times like this. Why should love be spared that affliction too? Now, I haven't watched more than a few clips and a trailer for this thing, but they did take another swing at this film, just this year. It's been released at Sundance, it hasn't gotten a theatrical release yet. That's coming in like a week-ish, depending on when this goes up. Yes, they have remade Kiss of the Spider-Woman with Diego Luna and Jennifer Lopez and some other folks. Here's the twist. It's not a take on the book like the '85 film was. It's actually more of a take on the 1993 musical instead.
What kind of movie is it?
A musical, of course. And if I have to explain the of course, I might as well just end it all right now.
I hate musicals.
And I pity you.
Now maybe it's just me. This doesn't strike me as a great match for a musical. Like, the subject matter here it's gritty, it's dark, it's rife with human rights abuses. I feel like it would just take me out of the human element if in one of these scenes suddenly a bunch of people burst into song and dance.
I'm sorry to break the news, but nobody sings in real life.
I don't usually have trouble, like, suspending my disbelief when a musical number hits in a film, but normally it's not something so heavy and real, you know? It'd be like if they added a laugh track to a Marx Brothers film. You wouldn't need that, you know? It does something to it. Maybe it'll be very good, maybe it'll be a box office smash. Diego Luna is a very talented actor, and Jennifer Lopez exists. I also feel obliged to mention, if you're not new here, you know that I pick my films at random from a list that I've been whittling down from the start of the year. I run a marble race every Friday after my Twitch stream, and I stick it on the end of my review episodes. It'll be showing up in a few minutes, I'm sure. So imagine my shock last week after I go to sleep on Friday night, having gotten Kiss of the Spider-Woman from the marble race. I check my YouTube subscriptions, and there is Matt Baum doing a live stream about this very film, Kiss of the Spider-Woman. The '85 one, not the one that's new. Matt Baum, if you aren't aware, is a fellow YouTube creator who does a lot of coverage of queer media. He does very excellent work. He does a lot of really good research. I highly recommend his stuff. But I have had to avoid watching his video on this because I don't want to accidentally crib notes from it. We don't need to pull a James Somerton over here. I guarantee he's done more research than I have, so that is a very real possibility. I am, of course, happy to share this excellent film with someone as talented as Matt Baum. Go check him out. I was also a little bit surprised when the credits rolled because it had in the special thanks section Burt Lancaster of all people. Turns out he's responsible for the script finding its way to Hector Babenco's hands. Also, who's that in the special thanks?
Gene Parmesan? Right here.
No, that's not him. Okay. Yeah, this film is a real tour de force for the actors involved. Everybody delivers a fantastic performance. It will get its hooks in you, and it'll be over before you even know it, and it'll leave you wanting more. It absolutely deserves all the awards it won and more, and I highly recommend giving it a watch. And hey, speaking of giving things a watch, what are we going to watch this week? 3, 2, 1, and go! Alright, they are crawling forward, slowly, into this, curler? After Hours is out first, hitting that speed up, followed by Brazil, The Doom Generation, A Man Escaped, The Hit. They are well ahead of me. Oh my god. Oh my god. These guys have been slowed down on these dice. Cecil B. Demented has fallen off, so as my favorite software is being here. Alright, so we've entered a funnel. An electric neon funnel with multiple tiers. There's some bollards to get in the way. Additional bollards to get in the way. Sweet smell of success. Ejected? Are you dead, sweet smell of success? Where did you go? Yes, you're dead. Alright, Never Weaken is out front with a commanding lead. This course, I swear to God. 3 women is over there. The Doom Generation is coming around. There's a comb in the way. These combs do provide decent obstacles. 3 women might catch up. Never mind, Never Weaken goes right through with... Oh, well look at that, 3 women also goes through with very little problem. Okay, they're on the bowling alley full carpet here. Very funky pattern. Never Weaken falls into a hole. Why is there just a hole there? This is strange. 3 women into the trough. Are you going to go to the left or the right? It doesn't matter. There's swinging hammers on both sides. Can you possibly make it? You did not make it. Off you go. Oh my god. Yes, this is indeed Mickey's Dick Smasher. Here comes After Hours. Gonna try its luck at Mickey's Dick Smasher here. Followed closely by the Doom Generation. They might have a chance of showing up at the same time. After Hours gets through, the Doom Generation gets through. They're both in the funnel. Here comes Never Weaken. It also has a chance of possibly getting in first. You never know. They are going through at funky angles. Whichever one happens to hit there first will drop down. Brazil is over there, making some moves. Here's the hit, also joining us. A Man Escaped is going to attempt it. A Man Escaped has landed. And over here we have in first the Doom Generation, followed by the hit, then A Man Escaped, then After Hours. Never Weaken coming in after that. Thank you. And Brazil will be on its way down shortly, I'm sure. Our only Terry Gilliam movie on the list, but it is considered a big one. Brazil, anytime now. Thank you. Alright, it's official. Our winner, the Doom Generation. Yes, so we had 6 things that finished, 4 things that did not. Why is the Doom Generation on my list? The Doom Generation from 1995. It's on the list because it is from an AAPI filmmaker. That's right, Greg Arki. Arki? Did I typo that? Is it Arki or Araki? I gotta look that up real quick. Yeah, Greg Araki. Like, you know, spelled like the guy who does JoJo's, but it's not him. Alright, yeah, the Doom Generation. It's on the list because it's from him, Greg Araki. It's a crime comedy, 6.1 out of 10. Only 83 minutes long. That's not bad. Yeah. It's number 36 on the list. I know that it's part of a trilogy of films, technically. He has, like... God, what are the other 2? I think they're all up on there. I think they're all up on Criterion, but I don't know for sure. Billed as a... Oh, it is the second installment in the director's trilogy known as the Teenage Apocalypse Trilogy, preceded by Totally Effed Up and followed by Nowhere. Oh, Rose McGowan's in this. Oh, that'll be fun. I like her. She's entertaining. Yeah, they're a trilogy in terms of, like, theme, rather than, you know, actual plot. It's like the Cornetto trilogy. You don't need to have watched Shaun of the Dead to understand Hot Fuzz. But, you might as well have to watch both, you know? So, we can jump in the middle here, it'll be fine. This promises to be entertaining.